Hey everyone, hope you're here. Hope everything's good. I just want to make sure I'm on X because it didn't show up yesterday. It didn't pop up on there yesterday for some reason. It looks like I am on X, I think. Yes. All right, great. All right, guys. Anyone's going to come here, have any questions, let me know. In the meantime, I'm just going to read a little from some pages from issue 1 of The Infidel. I think some people might assume it's all Pigman all the time. And while I love that aspect of it, I do take it back and forth. Hey, Toxic Dust, how's it going? Any questions, any particular questions, let me know. Ask them, and I'll try to answer them as clearly as I can. I just want to read a little from Pigman number 1. There's a moment in Ox News where, evening, Flatty. I got about an hour, guys. I got 1 hour, so any questions, particular ones, let me know. Ask away, and I'll try to answer them as thoroughly as I can. So, Killian Duke gets into a street fight with a gang of thugs from Your Muslim Friends, like a stealth jihadist front group. And that's what is here. It's a little, actually, hold on one second. I think you can't see it. Okay, you should be able to see it from here. Okay, good. So basically, so he ends up on Bo Riley's show on Ox News. And Bo Riley asks him, you're taking off a lot of good Muslim folk with your Pigman comic, Mr. Duke. He says, outside of my family, I don't think many Muslims even knew about Pigman until now. So yeah, he ended up on this show when he was invited after he got into that street fight with these thuggish members of a stealth jihad group that pretends to be a civil rights group called Your Muslim Friends. They were trying to they were giving away free Qurans on the street. They called the woman a whore. And Killian took exception to it because it was not that far from ground zero. So he says, hey, ladies. And of course, that takes him off and go back and forth. And then he ends up going in jail that night, gets bailed out by his Muslim friend. And then he is invited to go on this one Ox News program. He goes, okay, so he goes, Bo Riley says, you're taking off a lot of good Muslim folk with your Pigman comic, Mr. Duke. He goes, outside of my family, I don't think many Muslims even knew about Pigman until now. That's right. He goes, you're of Albanian Muslim descent, which clearly influences your story. So tell us, who is Pigman? He goes, Pigman is an ex-Muslim who decides to take the war into his own hands after seeing Washington's pathetic response to 9/11. He goes, why the pig motif? He goes, well, since Islam hates the pig, I figured a pigskin-clad superhero is the last thing the enemy wants to face. And then, excuse me, I hope you guys can see this clearly on your end. And then Bo Riley, of course, is Bill O'Reilly. If that's not clear, it's Fox News if that's not clear. But he goes, well, yeah, you have to appreciate that with a superhero named Pigman going after Muslims, he goes after jihadists. He goes, okay, fair enough. But it's inevitable that your work will be seen as, he goes, an insult to 1.5 billion Muslims. I've heard that 1.5 billion times. Your average Muslim is morally superior to Muhammad. They're individuals who may or may not be a problem. Organized Islam is. And the reason why I made that slight distinction there is that I hate when people talk to me about fundamentalist Islam, totalitarian Islam, and all that, and political Islam. Islam is political by nature. It's totalitarian by nature. It is inherently militant. So there's no deviant form of it that's worse than what it actually is. But if there's to be one term that I find acceptable is organized Islam, because Islam is bad as such. When it's organized, it's even worse. By organized, I mean the jihadist groups. I mean the stealth jihad front groups. I mean the individuals blogging about jihad and so on and pushing it on social media. That's an organized effort to shove Islam down our throats. So in that sense, Islam is evil, yes. That's what I call the enemy's ideology. But if I'm going to use one term to deviate from that only to make a certain point about the collective nature of this push, it is called organized Islam. I use it myself, and I gave it to Killian here. So he says, and then Bo Riley tells Killian, he goes, hold that thought. Now, in order to bring some balance, he goes, here's a representative of your Muslim friends, a group looking out for the Muslim folk in America. For those just tuning in, 3 of its members were involved in a scuffle with Mr. Duke last night. Welcome back, Mr. Kaiser. He goes, thank you, Bo, for giving me a chance to counter this. Thanks, Flitty. Appreciate it. It's fun, It's like I get to dip my hands into so many things here. The comic book industry, the panels that you have for discussing issues and philosophy and psychology and comics, and then you get the TV show and you get the fight scenes with Pigman with jihadists. It's like, as I was building this story, I was like, okay, I want to take out the enemy. This is a power fantasy, sure. And through Pigman, I get to do what I think should happen to the enemy. But there's a culture war going on. It's a war on all fronts, a political war on everything. So I love that. I just, I just love these type of things. Dark Knight influenced it clearly. I wasn't conscious of it, but clearly it did, especially with the talking heads, talking about Pigman. Now I have them talking about, talking about Batman. Now I have them talking about Pigman. Flady says, Killian goes off on all sects of human society for their faults and flaws, but does it in style and wit. Total class. Thanks, man. That's some kind words. I do appreciate it. He's definitely my stand-in, but he's the more idealized version, I would say, in a lot of levels. So then when Mr. Kaiser, who is a little allusion here to something, I'll mention it, and if you don't know, great. I'll fill you in, but I think it's a nice little touch in there because it brings up a few elements. He goes, thank you, Bo, for giving me a chance to counter this. And then Killian says, Mr. Riley, your surprise guest, because he was just ambushed. So he's going to acknowledge it. He goes, your surprise guest, because it wasn't supposed to be another one. And then later on in Pigman number 3, which will now be Pigman number 2 for the new relaunch, Frank Warner, Pigman's alter ego, is on another television show, and he also gets ambushed with a Muslim in there. So Killian says, Mr. Riley, and just for the record, Killian's name is Mehmet Dukai. That's his given name, and he's Killian Duke. And he retains some, a little of the last name, but also it's in homage to the Duke, the old American John Wayne. That's why he calls himself the Duke, Killian Duke. So he goes, Mr. Riley, your surprise guest is part of a stealth jihad that's working to further weaken America's response to jihad, and your network is helping them appear legitimate. And Bo Riley's like, you watch it, Mr. Duke. He's a friend of mine. And he goes, I'm really sorry, Jose. He goes, Soze. He goes, double apologies. Please continue. And by that, it's an allusion to the usual suspects with Kaiser Soze, the big bad, who had a Turkish background, so could be Muslim. That's possible. Could be Muslim, but he had a Turkish background, and that's why this guy's name is Mr. Kaiser. His name is Soze Kaiser. Kaiser Soze Kaiser, and he calls him Jose, meaning it's not a friend of his. He's bullshitting the audience. Double apologies, meaning it's a double meaning. And then the guy's like, the first thing that comes to mind, this is Mr. Kaiser, Soze Kaiser. He goes, the first thing that comes to mind about his comic book is how unoriginal it is. Muslim terrorists, how cliche. He goes, only in real life. He just stepped on a rake. Meaning how cliche. Why would it be cliche, the Muslim terrorist? Because it's so common. But Killian's not willing to say it's common in entertainment because it's not. It's only common in real life. And then the guy's like, Bo, I cannot believe you have him on your show. Have you read his comic book? To the Muslim mind, and I do not exaggerate, Pigman is felt to be the equivalent of 9/11. And Killian's like, ha! He goes, wow. He goes, Bo, this is the last time I come on your show. This is how I'm to be treated. And even, Bo Riley says, with all due respect, equating Pigman and 9/11 is one of the most boneheaded things I've ever heard. You get the last word, Mr. Duke. He goes, thanks for having me on. People can pick up Pigman #1 at certain comic book shops or online. And then here's Salam, Killian's twin brother, with his crew. And they're watching this, and they're like, because they never heard that he has a brother. And they're like, what the? He looks just like, he goes, shh, that's his brother. And the guy's like, what? He goes, look. He's like, Mohammed. So I just want to go through a few other pages here and there. This is when Pigman breaks into the caves in the Hindu Kush, in the mountain range that cuts across, I think, 2 countries at least. Hello, Jimmy. So, guys, any particular questions I'm willing to answer, or I'll just go through some of the pages. I think I'm just going to stick to issue 1 for now. Maybe a little of issue 2. You know what? I'll go to issue 2 for a bit because, yeah. This, I wasn't conscious of it, but I think in retrospect, it looks like I was thinking of Byrne and his Wolverine at times and the way it is. And if you notice, it might not be obvious, but sometimes I take a little liberty and I make Frank's nose a little shorter to fit that more puggish nose, like a shorter nose, like the Thing, like the Hulk. I just like it aesthetically. I think it looks more like an animal that way. And then when he's Frank, of course, it's a little longer. It's not that much longer. I mean, he does have a shorter nose, even when he's Frank. But it's fun. So yeah, let me take this off and go to issue 2 for one thing here, guys. This is right. Wait a minute. Is that coming off here? Okay, cool. Okay. This is it's a fun page. It's a fun back and forth, I think, at least with the reader, if not with these savages. These guys corner him in the on a cliff, and they start jumping after him. They want to kill him while killing themselves. And there's a few of them actually have second thoughts. One guy's trying to climb back up on that cliff, and the other guy's like, stop, while the other ones are all gung-ho. And Pigman says, madmen. Because he has a little backup. He has a possible plan to make it out of here alive. He's like, madmen. So he pulls out what I call the pig gun here. The pig gun. And he goes, misogynists dying and killing for 72, quote-unquote, women, only in Islam. He goes, poosh! He has the gun with the, I guess, what do you call it? Like the Batman, like the bat, not the Batarang, but the thing that he shoots to climb up areas. I forgot the name of that. And it hits the cliff, ta-tak, and you hear Allahu Akbar, boom. It goes, damn. Jimmy said, the way you did the story within a story, basically telling 2 stories, what was your inspiration for that story style? I just think, when I post 9/11, I knew I would have a superhero comic book against the jihad. And I was like, okay, but I don't think, at a certain point, I was like, okay, I want to bust them. I want to crack their skulls. I want to kill these guys through a big, ruthless hero. Grappling hook. Thanks, Flatey. You guys really you correct me out here. So I don't know what it is. I have a pretty damn good memory. I'm forgetting names. I'm forgetting certain things. Ed Piskor, completely forgot his name, yesterday. But thanks. So Jimmy, yeah, I was thinking in terms of it must have been the case because the Twin Towers, the 2 stories, twin brothers, I was playing with the idea of dualism, the double meaning. That's what I was doing. The double stories, a little richer than your typical. At least for me, I enjoy revenge movies and stuff, but they're limited. They are. There's not. That's that. You get your revenge and that's it. Here, I said, you know what? I want to take on this enemy on all levels, culturally, and that's when I think the story of the brothers came in. I was like, okay, good. And it's funny because they also influence the Pigman story, because after I established Killian and his brother in the battle between them, I said, okay, how about if I have also Pigman, Frank Warner, and Super Jihad, Muhammad, his friend, outside of their super identities in their civilian identities going at it ideologically on this one news channel, So, hey, Trevor, awesome. You got it now. Thanks for being here. So, yeah, so Jimmy, I think it was when I was just trying to get a little deeper into what I was dealing with and this enemy. And I think also something that influenced it was I knew that our soldiers were hung out to dry post 9/11. Everyone said, okay, they're going to take care of the problem. No, you can't put it all on them. You can't put that in complete burden on them, first of all, because our government will not allow them to wipe out the enemy. But second, it's a battle of ideas. And if your ideas are shit, what good is this great weapon that we have of our military? What good are they if their orders suck? I got the hair popping out here. What good are they if their orders suck? Meaning, you can't do this, can't do this. Ooh, bomb that mountain, but don't bomb that. You might hit some civilians. No. You got to go there, and we should have ended jihad, and we could have. And nothing should have been off the table. And I'm talking nukes. Nothing should have been off the table to end jihad. And that's when civilization was at a precipice. Like, okay, guys, we have an enemy here who is willing to fly planes into buildings. What would they be willing to do with nukes? We know what they would be willing to do with nukes, to detonate them. Unprovoked, because of their own hatred. Nothing that anyone does because of what they want to do. So that's what I was thinking alone of, okay, we have to get into the nitty-gritty. We have to get into the details of this enemy's mindset and not just the physicality of pummeling, Pigman pummeling them out of existence. So what happened is ultimately by issue 3, you have Pigman, Frank Warner coming into the ideological battle as well, which he's always been at, but I finally show it because I established the fact that both him and his friend, who's like a brother, so it's another allusion to the twin brothers. It's two longtime friends, two brothers. They break after 9/11, as they do break after 9/11. The same story in that sense, at least. And it's it's like it echoes each other. It's a twin story in that sense. And I allude to the fact that they used to write books together against Islamic Jihad. And he sells out then. Muhammad. He sells out when he sees the towers go down. He drops to his knees and he starts praying to Allah and saying Allahu Akbar, because he can't believe in his mind, in his heart, or what's left of it, the power of that. And that was Allah, and he's back in the embraces of Islam, So yeah, that was that's the reason why, because I wanted to make it a richer story. I wanted to echo each other, and again, I wanted to get into the battle that we're dealing with as Americans. That's Killian's battle, the ideological battle. I'm not going to go out there and punch these guys to death and kill them and all that. I can't do that. But I sure as hell can at least tell the truth about this enemy in as knowledgeable way as I can, and in as entertaining way as I can. We should never overlook that aspect of our work. I don't care what the subject matter is. I don't care if it's a deadly serious thing. It has to be entertaining. It has to be, or else you lose the reader. You lose the whole point of it. This is art, but it's also ideas being expressed, and you should present them as appealing as possible. You always want to keep the reader engaged. You don't want them to let them check out. I mean, there's some dialogue scenes where it might be too heavy for some, and I concede that there might be, but some stuff has to be said, and especially in the battles, in the battle of ideas scenes. It's important. So I needed to do that to make the story richer for myself, more engaging for myself, and therefore the reader, and therefore the reader. So that's maybe a long answer, but I just wanted to try to answer as best as I could. Thanks for asking it, Jimmy. Appreciate it. Okay, so Flavy says this might be a terrible take, but the story within a story angle made me think, what if Kirby wrote and drew the never-ending story, the movie, not the book? Now, did someone said to me that Kirby was working on something with a twin, but it didn't but they didn't. Someone in the chat, I believe, told me about that Kirby was working on a story about twins, good and evil, but it wasn't published. If you guys could remind me, if anyone here or later on, maybe in the comments, because I got about 40 minutes left. Let me know, guys, because there was a story where Kirby was dealing with twins, good and evil, with a battle between them. So that's what struck me. So, even if you think it's a terrible take, Lady, at least it sparked that, because I believe I heard that. I believe I did hear that. Something's weird here. Okay, I see. Okay. This is weird. Okay. Jimmy says, thank you for sharing the idea behind the story. I appreciate it. Hey, I appreciate the question. Thanks, Jimmy. Trevor, oh no, I offended child rapists and murderers. Yeah, that's where we are. We are there. Where if you say anything true, that's the thing about Islam. It's not if you say bad things about it or insult it. If you tell the truth about it, that's when they want to kill you. That's when they really want to kill you, because the truth damns it. Merely telling the truth about Islam damns it. And they can't have that. The Yon Ranga, sorry, Art says, everyone streaming at once. Choose Bosh. Everyone else is getting listened to at work tomorrow. I appreciate it, Art, but it's only for another 40 minutes, 35 minutes now. But thank you. I do appreciate that vote of confidence. Thanks, man. And I hope Ethan's better. Is he streaming? If it is, good, because he's been sick. I hope he's better. The Yon Ranga says, I guess, when are we getting the pig leather bound collection? When it's done. After the 6 issues, could be 7, but 6 issues are finally finished. That'll be the next thing after. Because I want to get, I want to start with issue 1 and go to issue 6 and maybe 7. But I'm thinking 6 because of the pig-sized issues that each one will be. Then it's going to be a pigskin, leather-bound book. And it'll be expensive, but I think, it'll be something that unlike anything on earth. And that's not an exaggeration, from the story to the actual packaging of the actual book. And it'll be Islam proof, Muslim proof. It truly will. Evening, Lux. Hey, Diana. I'm so glad I bought the set of 3 comics when I did this, but this edition, I'm digging it. It's the final countdown. It definitely is. This is very exciting. Yeah, guys, Art and Flady, Rocketeer. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Let me just. I'm always. It's so funny. I'm always going off the mark here. But let me just read a few more things here, guys. Quick. You know what? I don't want to tell too much here, actually. It is some exciting stuff. But yeah, it goes from battle of ideas here with the brothers, as you can tell. And then it goes to the battleground, to the battlefield, the actual, war zone. And it's just, I love that because it keeps me as engaged as possible. I love ideas as much as I love taking on these bastards on a physical level. And it's exciting and it keeps me engaged and hopefully keeps the reader engaged. And it's just enough, showing enough. I think it averages about 5 or 6 pages for each side, I think, with an issue. I think that's about how much it takes. Okay, John, no apologies. Glad you're here. Stormtrooper Julian Caesar says, are you going to add a sidekick to Pigman or an Alfred-like character? No, I did think of it, and I thought about it this way. Because reading the Quran, you find out that, Muslims, Muhammad referred to Jews as the descendants of apes and pigs. That's how they're referred to multiple times in the Quran. And so I thought, like a pig man with like a monkey boy or something. It sounds silly, but something along those lines, like to push it down their throats. Oh yeah? You don't like monkeys or pigs? You think they're grotesque? I think I'm going to do that. But it never found its way into the story. I tried for a little. I made some doodles, but it never quite found its way. But there is something. And here, I think for this particular battle also, the one that Frank takes, he has to be very, very, very careful of who he brings in. If he doesn't have a long-time ally like Alfred, ever since who knew him, ever since he was a kid, I don't think it's smart for him to try to, because people betray, even in the anti-jihad field of writers and artists, you get betrayed. He can't afford that. He has a family to consider, so. But there is an element in there. There is an element in there with his personal life where it spills over into something. And that's something that you'll see within 2 issues. Within 2 issues. Well, 2 issues. By issue 4. By issue 4. And you'll see, I can't really hit it too much, but it's something that I thought about years ago and that I absolutely will put in this one. And it could be perceived as something that I'm going woke. It could be. And that's fine. I welcome it because it's not at all. On the perception, it could be. But it works. And it really works, especially in this context. And you'll know why. You'll know why. It's only for a limited period also. Yeah. This one, Trevor, you got this one? Awesome. I know you got a couple. I think a couple. Micah says, much respect from a fellow artist. I haven't ordered your books yet, but I am planning to just to discover you. Was curious how, if at all, Iron Man's philosophy has influenced your Pigman story. I mean, it's integrated within the story, within a character. Let me show you quick. Just one thing here. He is an objectivist like me, but I don't discuss it too much. It's alluded to here, and it's part of his philosophy clearly. And if you notice, I hope this works, guys, because I don't know if it does. I tried to do it the other day and it didn't quite work, which sucks. But there's a bookcase on his shelf behind Killian. He has a lot of books and a lot of things that he loves, and it's from Ditko, Kirby, Alex Toth, to Radiohead, to John Romita Jr., to Nothing Less Than Victory by John David Lewis, who was an objectivist who wrote a great book on war and, touched on Islam. And he used the term, and he was a great man. He unfortunately died prematurely. Terrible. I had a chance to meet him, correspond with him. He wrote a book called Nothing Less Than Victory, which was great. He was incredible about this stuff. And he used the term state Islam, which is, I don't like these terms. I don't like political Islam, all this stuff, but state Islam was one of the better ones because it said, okay, I see. But what it doesn't do, and mine does, where I rarely use it, but I use it in a book here, and I use sometimes it organized Islam that also encompasses the individual blogger Muslim who wants to spread jihad through his blog, through online. So state Islam doesn't necessarily mean that. That's very limited. It's limited by the state, but there are individuals across the planet who are spreading these evil ideas through individual means. So it's not. I don't think it's enough to say state Islam, but it was a good one that others didn't use. So, and then if you look here, Micah, it's The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand, The Virtue of Selfishness by Ayn Rand, Objectivism, The Philosophy of Ayn Rand by Leonard Peikoff, Atlas Shrugged. They're all here. And he doesn't allude to it, even though there's something where he says this between the brothers. Let me find it. There's one allusion to it also. I just didn't want to get too concrete about it. I tend to do that in my stories. I don't want to spell it all out at times, even though... Okay. Is it here? It is here. Okay. Salam tells him, okay, where were we? You were talking about your silly philosophy, right? He goes, my philosophy is based on reality and reason. Yours on faith and fantasy. Which is silly? He goes, so you're an atheist. That's right. And here I was thinking you could be saved. And Killian says, I save myself from being you. I look at you and it's like seeing my worst self made real. And Salam says, I know exactly what you mean. And they look at each other as in a mirror, as in a dark mirror from his perspective. Now, from Killian, it's an objective matter here, that he follows the right ideas. And from Salam, it's a subjective matter where it's not in reality. It's in his faith. It's in his dreams, in his wishes, that he believes that he's a good moral guy, and he's not. So yeah, I do allude to it in some areas, but not too much. Not too much. But yeah, so that's it does influence it. It really does, and it influences it. I think in the matter of taking on the ideas as I do in the story, in my own life, and also in the way that Pigman tries to take out jihad, tries to end jihad. I mean, he's not here to fuck around. He has a limited time now. He's older. He's not in his prime. He has a family. So he's like, I can't waste a second here. I want to do everything I possibly can to end this threat and go live happily ever after with my family. It's a massive ambition, but he gets empowered issue by issue. He adds to the physical power of his suit. And when he takes out these terrorist groups, they're not getting back together. Let's just say that. So that's alluded to also in this one a politician, because Congress, both parties get together to condemn Pigman, and the guy's like, "You're condemning this guy? You're condemning him? Why don't you condemn yourselves? At least he's trying to defend, the country." This is issue 3, and the great Daniel Greenfield, who I did cartoons for a number of years, had this kind thing to say. He goes, the Infidel's closest parallel is Frank Miller's Dark Knight. And yeah, I mean, look, to me, that's my favorite overall story. There are elements in here. Clearly, you look at Pigman, he doesn't necessarily look like Miller's Dark Knight, but he's a big guy. And it's a big story. And it takes on a lot of stuff. It takes on the world, really. The left, the leftist enemy, the Islamic enemy, both of those. Also the cowards on the right, it takes on those. And there's one little moment here also, which I think it's pretty telling and pretty funny, in the media that despises those who do good against evil. I got these talking heads also here, but there's one moment here which I will share with you. I don't want to share too much. I want you guys to read it. I want you guys to buy it. I want you guys to own it. I want this to be successful enough where I can go into an issue 6. ultimately. But I just want to read you this one little moment here, which I think is interesting and funny. Let me read you two, actually. Pigman is coming, right? So here's the transition between the both worlds. Here's the transition. Here's how I do it. It's Salam at his mosque, local mosque, and the imam's telling him, like, basically, you got to take care of your brother, man. You know, and by take care, you know what it means. He's saying it's a problem. So then it goes, and if you notice, you got about 23 minutes, guys. The gutters between the panels are black in the Killian world, Killian Islam world. And I inked all of the brothers' world in pen. It was all in pen. A little different look. And then the Pigman parts, it's open up. All the gutters are open, like a typical comic. And I use a brush, though, to ink all the Pigman parts. So all the Killian parts are in pen. All the Pigman parts are brushed, inked in brush. So here's the guys, and he's going now across the Islamic world. Terrorist group by terrorist group and so on. And he caught these guys in Afghanistan, and they hear that he's coming. So what do? They're blowing their heads off. They're slicing their necks. And the guy's like, stop, stop, stop. Suicide is forbidden. These guys are like, what? And then he's like, he's here. Let's do this right. So they get into a circle jerk, and they count down 5, 4, 3, 2, and they blow each other's brains out. Except for one guy. One guy is still alive. He goes, you're killing me, guys. Well, actually, he snorts. He goes, hey, genius, you can't blow your brains out if you don't have any. Because the one guy's alive. He goes, I'm an American. I'm an American. He goes, so Pigman leans down. He goes, American, quote unquote. No. He goes, you murder Americans. And that's why you're dead. Puts his hand over him, crushes the life out of him. And I'll show you one more scene. This one right here. And it basically plays on the media, the evil media that we have, that we deal with, who is now at least an enemy within. They're not here to ask definite questions about the good of the country. They're here to smear. They're here to be hostile, to destroy, to just get away from the truth as much as they possibly can. So one moment in Iraq. So now he's in Iraq in his mission here, Pigman. And there's an ISIS member saying, there's nothing you can do about this, Pigman. Nothing. And when I get my hands on you, you're going to regret. All of a sudden, he feels a big mitt over his head. And the guy's like, no. And you hear the sound, clush. And then you see this guy right there. Basically put his head, crushed it between his shoulders. And he'll be dead very soon. And the guy's like, the guy who was taken hostage tells Pigman, thank you. And then the guy's like, don't let him touch you. The cameramen who were filming this, they filmed the beheadings. These evil scum. And I did it again here also, guys. I did it in Table for One. I did it in issue 1 of Pigman and here. And in issue 3, actually, with Pigman and Superchild. You're seeing what's going on in front of the character. It's a panel within a panel. And someone said in a review 20 years ago at Table for One, that they never saw that before in comics. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen it before. Maybe someone's done it. I don't know. But that's what they said. And I'm like, okay. I was just trying to be as creative as I can be with these things. I said, okay, that'll be pretty cool and also if you could see right through him type thing, So the guy says, don't let him touch you, because they know about the pigskin leather, and they'll miss their shot of going to paradise. And you hear, ksh, and they both throw themselves to their deaths. And Pigman says, what a waste. He looks at the guy, of glass. It's funny to me. And the guy's like, why? He goes, why would you save someone who wrote such terrible things about you? A leftist. And he goes, Mister, I don't know who the hell you are, and I don't care. Let's move. And he starts crying because he's like, he feels even worse now. Like, holy shit. Like, I am a nobody, even though I've been trashing this guy for years, and he hasn't paid attention, I guess. And then Pigman is in quote-unquote Palestine in the offices of Hamas. And he leaves a bloody mess in there. He took out the bastards. So I'm going to stop there now, guys. I don't want to show too much. I want you guys to read it. I want you guys to get excited for it, hopefully. And so thanks for asking, Micah, or Mika. The Yon Ranga says, can't wait. Awesome. Already a proud owner of the first re-sign Pigman comics and a pack of Muhammad playing cards. Thanks. All good stuff with great messages. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, man. And if you're there, guys who've gotten it, I will say this. It's not going to be just a rehash. It'll be a remastered version, different covers, added moments, a little expanded scenes, transition sometimes between scenes. Like there's one moment where issue 2, which will be now in issue 1 of the new Pigman, where when Pigman flies, when pigs fly, you're going to see a little more epic, shot of that instead of him just floating in that small panel that I have him in. The first time you see him fly, I think I'm going to expand it a little, muscle it up a little, because I think it's worth it to see a character fly the first time. I want to make it as epic as I can. I'm thinking Walt Simonson Thor style. I'm thinking along those lines. I'm thinking about the clouds like John B. Jr. draws them. Beautiful. And him just going from the left side right to the right in an angle that's coming towards us. And it'll be double page spread, bleeding off the edge. So it'll be things like that. And again, I can improve certain things. I'm like, oh, you know what? I can punch up that drawing. I can do this. I can make that transition better. I can make the dialogue better. I can even make, because the first 2 issues of Pigman, I hand lettered. And someone was talking about last night that John hates when artists don't put the word balloons like in the top corners or bottom corners to get away from, not to cover up the art too much. And for issue 1 and 2, I did that when I handwrote. And when I was learning how to do the digital, I didn't do that at all. It's pretty funny. I didn't know how to corner the boxes and cut off the tops. Now I do. So when I get back at least to issue 4, issue 3 of the new relaunch, it'll be the best lettering, I think, out of any of them. Even though the hand lettering came out fine. No one ever complained about them. So I might change some, but not all of it. We'll see. We will see, guys. But it's exciting. This is very exciting. And also to get the backing of Comicsgate, very exciting. And the Kings, I asked them to share today, and they were very, very kind in doing that. And guys, it's next week, next Friday. However it happens, on my own channel, Ethan, John, the Kings, whatever. I wanted to really jumpstart it and get it going. And however it ends up on that launch day, I want to be big. I want to be a nice splash. I want to go out there, give my best shot, and also see what the response is. And if it's great, awesome, guys. That means I can get to issue 2 and so on. Because, that first day is very, very important for what I gather. That's the bulk of the funding you can get. So, yeah, I just hope you guys are interested enough to back it up, and we'll go from there. So, guys, I got 15 minutes. So, let's see. Flady asks, Trevor, did you get the TV interview page? I know someone outbid me. I think I did sell that. I sold a handful of Pigman pages so far. John says, when you're done streaming, you should hop on with EVS. He's live with Andy Smith. Might be a great place to show some of these images. If he invited the other King, sure. But I don't want to, step over. I think Andy is closing out, isn't he? So I don't want to get in the way of that. That's Andy's night, I want to focus on that. If he invited all the Kings and they ask a question, sure. I'll mention it, but if it's Andy's night, I don't want to get in the way of that. I want him to get his book funded as much as he can, especially I think in the closing night. Ducky Barnes says Pigman the animated series, Netflix. I doubt it, Netflix, but hey, I would love to see it. And even so, let's just say, if it gets adapted, I wouldn't be opposed to having live action for the Killian parts and then an animated version for the Pigman parts to really separate the two worlds. I wouldn't mind that, But of course, that's beyond my control. I mean, at this point, if I've gotten interest from 2 studios years ago, and some queries to see if I got the rights still and this and that. If I, there was interest from people who I know do good work, which is good. So we'll see. Flay One says, "Yeah, a Matt Bar chimp sidekick would be funny, but would be Pigman's undoing." Yeah, it sure would. It sure would, and Pigman might end up just crushing him out of the book. You might get a head wound just having him around. Trevor says, I had to get a page from the first issue. Thanks, Trevor. I do appreciate it. The Yon Ranga says, I picked the right day to wear your vaccine status middle finger shirt too. That's awesome. Thanks, man. Yeah, I had the, what's your vaccine status? It was a big finger on the t-shirt that I have on Teespring. I couldn't stand that. I couldn't stand those rats pulling that crap. Jimmy says, Pigman's sidekick would be, in my world, would be a young man who was a victim of the man on boy crime. Jeez. Just hate from him, yeah. Yep, the Ashnas, they call them in Afghanistan, where these men, quote unquote, these males have young boys on the side. And they're not gay, you know why? Because they're doing the pitching, not the catching. This is sick stuff. But that's a common practice. And there's a different name that they have in some other areas, I think Pakistan. They practice homosexuality. They do, but they fancy it. It's okay because whatever, who knows? But they do. They do practice it, Muslims. And then, of course, they throw homosexuals off buildings as well. So it's so irrational. It has to be kept at bay or destroyed. And ultimately, I think it will be destroyed because it's us or them at the point where there's a nuclear jihad. It will be us or them. That's it. And from their perspective, once they get that and detonate it, they'll try to do it to all the major countries, to make the major powers of the world. But that's, okay, so, yeah, Flady, whenever, just, let me know. If you're interested, I sold a handful of pages. I still got a bulk of them, also table for one. But let me know. Diana says the emoji is also entertaining. Yeah, I got the emoji. It's Mo. Okay, it works. It enlarges a bit. Okay, thanks, lady. I was trying the old day. It didn't work, and then it did work, I think, yesterday. The Yon Ranga says, amazing and thoughtful art detail with the books on the shelves. The clear differences between art from an artist and 3D asset background static like Riververse did in Isom is on full display. Thanks. Look, everything is hand-drawn. There's pride in it. I love it. Someone was asking me today about AI. You might be interested in it. I said, I don't know. Maybe at some point I could take a look at it and see what it could be done. But I just love the physicality of it, the actual page. And sure, I can punch things up later on, maybe tweak them in Photoshop. Of course, the color and the lettering, which is what I do now in Illustrator for lettering and coloring in Photoshop. Sure. And I can add sometimes even backgrounds like clouds and stuff, and like a shading of buildings in the background in Photoshop. But the bulk of it is all hand drawn. And for issue 3, it's so funny to look at my art in issue 3 without the dialogue. Like all my art has been prior to this. It's funny, and it's like it looks empty, but hey, that's just the way it is. So anyone who does buy, I think pages like that, I think I should at least try to give them a print of the actual page with the dialogue in about the same size, comparable size. I think so. I think that's pretty fair. John says the IRS is getting audited starting today. I love Trump's America. Me too, John. Again, these things, we've wanted these things for decades. We wanted these things for America. That's what America is. We're a revolutionary country. By nature, by our birth, we're a revolutionary country. We should do revolutionary things. We haven't done them in a long time. And this is a revolutionary presidency right now. It is. You get a guy like Elon Musk, bring him into the fold, into the machinery, and, break it apart a little, see what's in there. It's incredible. I got 8 minutes, guys. I got 8 minutes. So any other questions, let me know. I'll try to answer them as quick as I can. I got to get to work. Trevor says, Ethan is streaming from Valhalla. It has to be from there because he said he was dead earlier. Damn, man. That's tough, man. I hate being sick. So funny. I never get sick. The old day I was on a stream, I started to sniffle and I started to feel, what the hell? I was like a cold just really hit me during the stream. Flady recommended some broth, and I said, I do have it. And if you didn't recommend it, I may not have done it. Sometimes absent-minded, but had 2 bowls at night, woke up fine, had another bowl, all good. All good. Empty, blank, vacant says, the character literally looks like you. No, he's better looking, and that's it. I'll leave it at that. Pretty funny. But thank you. Flady One says, Pigman needs to team up with old Tony Stark. A Pigman War Machine suit would be a killer, literally. Absolutely. That would be awesome. Man. That would be awesome. And would be sick, as Jimmy says. Mika or Micah, sorry. Very cool. Thank you for your response. Absolutely appreciate it. Art says, Flady, I've had ideas, power armor, crushing jihadists. And again, guys, look, Pigman does go from, a big, strong, overall bulletproof guy, and he soups up his suit. He makes himself stronger through the suit. You see the circuitry in issue 3. You see what's underneath the covering, and then he ultimately learns how to fly. He figures that out, and it's he's getting behind Super Jihad a little, because Super Jihad is like, he learned how to fly. He's like, if he can fly, he's pissed. He's like, fuck, that guy beat me to it. It's a race. It's a race to power. And the battle of the world is, the balance of the world is between them, because it's a superpower jihad and a superpower reaction to jihad at that point. So yeah. Trevor says Catholics use terms like the church triumphant versus the church militant. I think the West is trying to separate Islam's faith from their politics. Indeed they are. And that's the thing. We project our understanding of things onto that alien, irrational world. You should never do that, ever. It has nothing to do with reason, nothing. Logic, rationality, it doesn't. It's its own irrationality. It's an organized rationality, but it is an irrationality ultimately. And we project onto them what we would like to hear. And the reason why, I'll say it again, I've said it for years, the reason why many of us focus on quote-unquote non-devout Muslims, moderate Muslims, is because devout Muslims are monsters. And people don't have the balls to say that. They just don't. And if we have the nerve to say these things, then we can start doing things that must be done. And that's why, it's a battle of ideas ultimately, because if the orders that our soldiers get suck, it doesn't matter how great our soldiers are. It doesn't matter. You have to hit them ideologically as well. You have to, when Reagan called the USSR empire, the evil empire, that put a major dent into them globally. The world heard the most powerful man on earth calling this place evil. That put a dent in them culturally on every level, and it started to become the word that people said, the evil empire. Yeah. And it led to the demise of it, because they had this front that they're better than us, and everyone knew they weren't. And when the wall fell, the truth came out. And unfortunately, we didn't deal with it even then, because then it seeped into our culture. It seeped into television, into the media. It's a communist media that we have. We won the Cold War, but now we have another one right now. because we didn't take care of business and calling it thoroughly evil, not just the USSR, but communism, the whole idea of a communism, of collectivism, of National Socialism / Nazism, of fascism, all these evil, ideologies that are all on the left, whether they're religious or secular. All the way to the left is tyranny. All the way to the right is freedom. Far right means far freedom. But the left, of course, wants to pretend that anything far left or far right is evil. Absolute lie. All the evil is on the left. Let me read a few more. Okay. Thanks. Micah, right? I'm sorry, man. I messed it up now. Again, sorry. Damn it. Trevor says, what they don't realize is they are one and the same. The more religious, the more radical. Yeah. The more religious, the more in line they are with Islam. The more devout, the more dangerous they are to us. That's why, my favorite Muslims are the least Muslim. The least devout. Mika, maybe. I think Mignola is one of the best at choosing the balloon locations and designs. I have some of his Hellboy, so I will take a look at that. Thanks. I'm going to be a little more conscious about it when I do it this time. Because right now, the other book I'm doing is I'm penciling in all the dialogue. Because I want to have a good idea how it'll end up being. I'm going to cut, but I want to see what I can fit within there. So I'm penciling it in, and I'm using the way John mentioned it, where it's cornered, left, right, top, bottom. It's always out of, basically give the art a chance to breathe a little instead of covering up with all, balloons within the center, which I did more or less here in issue 3, because I didn't know how to do that yet. But by the time issue 3 in the relaunch happens, it's going to be the best lettering that I've done, hands down. Trevor says you can create fonts of your own hand lettering. I tried that, and I wasn't crazy about it. I got to say, and I like my handwriting. I thought it would be better than this one that I chose, but it's not. So I'll try it again. Maybe we'll see. Because again, when I get to by issue 3 of the relaunch, it's all new material at that point. All new material. So it'll be unseen work that no one has seen before. At least for that issue, it'll be issue 4. But then from that on, it'll be completely all new to me, more or less. I know where the story is going, but the details, we will see. John says, I'm 99% positive he put out the link in King's room. They like all the help they can get from everyone launching and closed books. I'm 100% sure that they would love to have you on. I will see, John. And if they do, I will pop on. Definitely. Thanks. Kafir Bizarre Adventure says, where can I order it, please? It's not available now. I do still have, for the time being, I have digital versions of Pigman 1, 2, 3, as well as digital version of Table for One, my first graphic novel. You can get them at boschfawson.com. I will knock them out, though, by next week. It'll be the last time you can get even the digital ones, because I want them all to be only available in the new relaunch period and the new versions. That's it. People who have the old ones, great. And you'll be able to, if you're interested, comparing them, which will be a nice little thing to do, maybe, if you're interested. So yeah, you can go to boschfawson.com and you can order the digital versions of 1, 2, and 3, Pigman, and also Table for One. And there are other books I have. Now I'm out of 4 print books. They're out of print now, but I still have 4 copies of Peaceful Death Threats. Only 4, guys. Where I have 400 death threats in there, published alongside new Muhammad cartoons inspired by these death threats. I got to leave, guys. I'm going to finish this up and go. And also I have my Muhammad Cartoons Volume 1, my Muhammad Cartoons Volume 2, probably a dozen of each, and that's it. And I'm at the point now where I'm going to let them go out of print. And if there's serious interest at a certain point, I'll get them reprinted. But not unless it's a big order, or else I'm just not going to do that. I don't want to, I want to keep my books pretty clear. I don't want any boxes here. I really don't. So, but thanks for your interest, Kafir. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's boschfawson.com. If anyone else is interested, you want to get, if you haven't got these, boschfawson.com, you got to scroll down a bit You got to scroll down a bit. I got the alarm. I'm going to turn it off, finish these questions, and I'll be right back. Thanks for being here, guys. I do always appreciate you guys being here. Thank you. Stormtrooper Julian Caesar, I swear by oregano oil when I start getting sick. Huh, oregano oil. As in a cold comes on, that tends to, I will keep it in mind. Or so you're going to have lots of tears add-ons or keeping it simple. I think simple. I really do. I have a few that I think I can do. I think you guys recommended some stuff, but I just want to keep it pretty simple. Like I've seen Billy's, and Billy's like, wow. I mean, again, this guy's been doing it for a long time. He knows his stuff. He knows exactly what he's doing. I think I want to keep it pretty simple. But you'll see. You'll see, guys. Lewis Michael says, hi, Bosch. A bit late arrival on my part. No problem. I want to ask how many more issues you're planning. It will be, from the relaunch, it'll be 6 issues, could be 7. And these are longer issues. I always plan to do 6 or 7 in the older, the smaller versions, but I think it'll go that way because issue 1 will now be composed of issue 1 and 2 with added scenes, moments, remastered. Issue 2 will be issue 3, the same thing, added pages, moments, remastered, made better, different covers. All will have different covers, new covers, brand new covers. And then it'll probably be 6 issues if I was to be cornered. I'd say 6 issues. And then at the end, it'll be all wrapped up in a pigskin leather hardcover bound, leather bound hardcover. That's what will be the final form of it. Diana says, communist, fascist, Marxist, leftist, Islam, global jihad is the axe of evil. It is. Our greatest threats are communism and Islam. And those who, and also I can't stand it. They separate Nazis and communists. Same shit. I call them communazis. National socialists, right? That's it. To me, it's in the name. It is totalitarian. It is collectivism. It is the individual doesn't mean shit. Gun control, healthcare, all this stuff, healthcare. The media controlled. Trevor says, Michael Savage swears by garlic. I used to listen to Savage. Haven't been able to in a while. Guys, thanks for being here. I do appreciate it. Thanks for the give and take. And until next time. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Be well.